On today's show, we talk all about the other games we've been playing. So don't forget your cold drinks as we ready up for this first ever episode of the Palibros Sidequest. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Palibros Sidequest, a podcast where a group of friends come together to talk about anything and everything other than Monster Hunter. Of course, I'm one of your hosts and the first to cart, Patrick Jovez. Alongside me, we have the mix-set maniac, Brian.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening. We have the hunting horde elitist, Max.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, and so tasty, Ryan. Jesus, we were talking about this earlier.
That was a close attempt. It was close.
Shout out.
Well, I'm not of your family, so I don't have it mastered.
The bloodline.
Yeah. It's not an inherent gene. Shout out to a fellow Palibro. How you guys been?
Good, busy.
Very good.
Yeah, I think we've all been super busy lately.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
it's nice to spend a little time doing this.
Heck yeah. I mean, of course, if you haven't noticed yet, this is the first ever episode of the Palibros Sidequest, our sister podcast that we created that talks about anything and everything other than Monster Hunter. So I'm really excited to do this. This is going to be our very first, trial run, and hopefully everything goes well enough that we can start implementing this into the regular, rotation. But yeah, welcome. So a little bit of housekeeping. Welcome to the first ever episode, again, of the Palibros Sidequest, a podcast where we get to talk about whatever we want to talk about. We created this sister podcast as a means to better catch up with our little friend group, as well as expand outside just the Monster Hunter franchise. So while this is primarily be about video games, we'll also be experiencing with sorry, I'm just a little nervous, I guess.
Live.
What? Okay. Fucking shit. While this primarily will be about video games, we'll also be experimenting with other media topics as well as new guests that wouldn't normally be on our main show, the Palibros. So if Monster Hunter isn't really your thing, but hanging out and listening to a group of friends talk about whatever they're excited about is, then you're in the right place. Of course, this will all be posted to our main YouTube channel, youtube.com/thepalibros, under a separate playlist, as well as being posted to Spotify and wherever you get your Palibros content. But again, let me remind you that this is the Palibros Sidequest, where each and every episode we talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. So don't forget, you can get each and every episode on youtube.com/thepalibros, Spotify, and a variety of other podcast services for your listening pleasure. And if you like that, then please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this episode with friends, and hitting that bell icon to help support us and to know when each of the latest episodes are posted. But for now, let's start with our main topic. What's everybody been playing? Max, I'd like to start off with you.
Well, the main thing I've been playing, I will say, is Marathon, but I'm sure that Ryan is going to have a lot to say about Marathon. We both been playing it quite a bit. I would like to highlight some smaller games that I've been playing recently.
Sure.
I recently finished an indie game called The Case of the Golden Idol.
Ooh,
by,
okay.
Color Gray Games on Steam.
Okay.
I think this is their first game, and there's a sequel to this game called The Rise of the Golden Idol, where they are point and click, mystery detective deduction games.
Okay.
Where you are presented with a crime scene or a murder scene of some sort, and you have to assess based on the clues in the background, like letters. You can search the possessions that are that are on each character that's in the scene, and it doesn't really tell you anything. You have to deduce who these characters are, what happened, and like what the motives were. And it's like you have this giant screen that's like fill in the blanks, and you get like little snippets of names and objects and verbs, and you have to sort of fill in everything yourself. And it's really difficult, but it was very satisfying to complete. Even if a couple of the puzzles were a little obtuse, it was still, I had a good time doing it. And the DLC
says the marathon player.
Well,
we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So wait, so looking this game up, because I was very unfamiliar with this. I've heard the title before, but I wasn't really sure what type of game this was. The art style is striking.
Very unique. Yeah,
it is extremely unique from what I've seen in other titles before. It's kind of, for lack of a better word, it's like ugly, but I don't mean that in a weird way. It's a little bit off-putting. Yeah,
and it kind of goes hand in hand with the there's kind of an overarching narrative that you discover as you go from mystery to mystery, and it's very it's very macabre, I guess. It's interesting. Oh, it's worth noting it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam, if that matters to anyone. But I'm certainly interested in playing the sequel at some point. And so that's one thing I've been playing recently. I finished it with the DLCs in about 11 hours or so. So it's not the longest game ever, but there's some meat there. I mean, that will obviously vary from person to person depending on how much of a puzzler you are. So
it's probably double that that hour rate for me.
Possibly. I mean, some things click differently for different people. You might, make a logical connection between two things faster, and some areas than others. But it was a very enjoyable game. I had a lot of fun with it. And if I was going to highlight one other thing that I've been playing, I only played about like 8 or 9 hours because it was Illuminous Arise.
Ooh, that's one I have on my list.
Yeah, so I played Luminous 1 and 2 back on the PSP a long time ago, and I really enjoyed those. It's kind of like a musical Tetris kind of game.
Yeah, 100%.
Where you're rotating falling blocks, and you got to connect the squares, and I've really enjoyed the previous games, and I really enjoyed Arise as well. I actually finished it in one sitting on the first time I booted it up. But it was a very enjoyable experience. I think there's one new mechanic they added in the game that I found to be a fun addition, where you can kind of like build up on the screen more, and then it all explodes at once. It was very cool. I liked most of the music tracks, and I felt like they did a great job with the is the word I'm thinking for haptic feedback, like the syncing of like the controller and the vibrations with the music and like the screen shake and all the effects. It was very immersive, and I know the game supports VR, but I don't have a VR headset, but I imagine it would be a pretty cool experience.
Correct me if I'm wrong, or is this the same? Not, of course, it's not the Tetris company, but is it published by someone similar?
So it's not the same company that made the original one. Looking at on Steam, it was developed by there are two developers listed. One is Enhance, was the developer and publisher, and they have not worked on any other similar titles. The other developer listed is Monstars Incorporated, who has worked on the Tetris Effect.
That's that's the connection.
And Res Infinite, and that's basically it.
Was the same composer? Do you remember?
I don't know if it's the same composer. I think there might be multiple composers.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of different tracks in the game. But I do think my slight disappointment with it is that I feel like it's ripe for a DLC or like more music, because I felt like I had a great time with it, but I felt a little bit wanting in that I feel like I completed it in like 8 hours, and I mean it was like $40, I think, full price.
Right.
So I would probably recommend it on sale, but otherwise it's a fun game if you like Tetris and music and sort of little puzzle games.
Yeah, I think didn't it come out Q4 last year, or it was like Q3, Q4 sometime last year, right?
It was November 11th of 2025.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember wanting that alongside what was it, Marvel Cosmic Invasion? I think that came out December-ish. And so I was like, oh, two smaller titles I would love to add to like the backlog or get into at some point. So you kind of answered some of my questions for Luminous Horizon. Was basically like, is this just more luminous, or is there something mechanically interesting that's like that sets this apart from like previous titles or stuff like that? And it sounds like they kind of Tetris Effect advised this kind of title with that one mechanic where, similar to Tetris Effect, you can kind of like build up like a bomb version where, I guess specifically Tetris Effect, you would like pause the screen and get as many combos as you possibly can, but this version of Luminous is like a. Can you explain that part again?
It's very similar to what you described. It's called like the burst mechanic, where it stops it stops the clearing of tiles of squares from your screen.
Got it.
For a certain number of cycles, and so you're trying to basically build up this one, the one color of tile that you're trying to burst. You're trying to add on to make it as big as possible, and you get like a huge score bonus. So it is very similar to the mechanic you described. That's a new mechanic for Arise that I thought fit very well. Like the way that it interacts with the music is also very cool, because the music kind of like pulls back to let you start building up, and then it starts to crescendo like into the big drop when it clears.
Yeah, very Tetris Effect right there. And it kind of goes into like a kind of what's it called, like underground club, where it sounds kind of muffled at first, right? Is it similar effect? Recall. Okay, because it does that in Tetris Effect, and I fucking love that part. You still hear the music in the background, but it sounds very muffled, and you like each combo you pick up, it starts adding like chimes to it, and then until like it bursts, and the music kind of just like comes back full force. And I think that's like a great just feedback loop, especially with haptics and stuff. Like I could see that being a great a great mechanic. How are the game modes? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, with the haptics, are there does it do anything with like HD Rumble if you have like a Switch Pro controller, or
I've
DualSense?
only tried it on my DualShock controller, like the PlayStation 4 controller. So I don't know. I'm maybe not the best at explaining it, but it vibrates along with like the beat and with the clearing of the notes, but I haven't noticed anything special other than that.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any specific modes that are new to this, or is it standard, just like arcade or high score?
It's pretty standard. I think the one complaint that people have is that there's no endless mode. You can create your own playlists based on the tracks that are included in the game. And there's also a number of online modes. I've tried out like the time attack and some of them. Yeah, I've tried out time attack and the dig down mode. And there's like a weekly event, the Lumi Live, that they do for, I don't know, like a community events on some weekends.
Nothing really to draw you back for now until you see like a DLC drop or something.
I don't know how much hope I have for DLC dropping, since there's no roadmap or anything, and it came out, I don't know, 5 months ago. But I mean, as far as like a single experience, I picked it up when it was on sale, and I'm pretty positive I had like a very immersive, enjoyable experience for the time that I played, and I'm satisfied with that. Maybe for some people it might be not worth, $40, but on sale, it would be a recommend.
Awesome. How good is the music, would you say?
I think that there's a couple tracks. I don't know how much you remember from the previous Luminous games.
There was like two or three I'd actually put on my iPod at the time from the Vita version.
Like there was a couple on the Vita version that I felt like were like, wow, that's an awesome song.
Yeah.
I feel like the bass line is higher, but there aren't as many that like really stand out, where they're like, there's like more of the tracks are in like the 8 out of 10 kind of rated range, but there's not really any like
standouts
10 tracks.
Yeah,
where there's like maybe one, but overall I'd say it's good.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm still excited to play that. Any of you guys thinking of picking up Luminous Horizon? Have you guys played any of the other previous ones?
Not really my game. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most I've ever done with rhythm is Max would be attest to this, is playing DJ Max Technica Tune on the Vita.
You never played DDR growing up?
That's mine.
I think at your place, Ryan, on the soft pad, maybe like once or twice.
Oh yeah, brother. We sure did get down.
I will say that I would not categorize this as a rhythm game. It like bridges the worlds between rhythm and puzzle game, but like the gameplay is a puzzle game.
First and foremost,
the puzzle itself is so intertwined with the music and the rhythm that like it feels like you're playing a rhythm game, even like because you're getting so into it.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's a puzzle game.
Basically, like Legend of Zelda, like any of the previous like Ocarinas, or like probably Wind Waker would probably be the best take on that, right? Like you do actions and music kind of happens alongside those actions, but the main point isn't it's a music game. It's
What's that? There's an indie game where it's like literally to the beat. It's
the fucking Dead as Disco.
Or this Tomb of the Necromancer, was it? Or something, Tomb of the...
Crypt of the Necromancer? Crypt of the Necrodancer? Yeah. There's a Zelda version of that, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, those are fucking great games. But yeah. I forgot the point I was going to make. But yeah, those are awesome picks, man. What, you have anything like coming up that you're looking to get into next?
I have got some games that have been on my to-do list that I have currently installed. I'm thinking about.
I knew.
I will say that I know this is the side quest, but I'm literally at the end of the game for Monster Hunter Stories 3.
Ooh.
I finished. I just earlier today I finished doing all of like the optional.
That's a spoiler.
Boss fights.
I figured
there's a challenge to do those without repelling them, like in one go, and it was really irritating. And it took me like some trial and error and theory crafting and looking on Reddit. But I finally got all those down, and like I just haven't felt compelled until now to finish the game actually. So.
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually like I'm level 99. I've got everything like maxed out.
So you're ready for those?
So I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm looking forward to. I have The Last of Us Part 1 installed,
Ooh.
which I've never played before. I'm gonna get through it.
I still love the fact that when that came out originally on PS3, Ryan came over like for like a week to beat it at my house. I was like, yeah, fuck
I don't
yeah.
think I talked to you guys. I got all of you.
I literally left you alone in the room because I was like, I'm not gonna spoil any of this or ruin this for you.
I just remember you guys were watching for the first hour, and then like 4 hours go by, and then like your mom's like, all right, Patrick, time to send your friends home, and I'm like, oh crap, hang on, let me just see this real quick. Yeah. I like didn't hang out with you guys at all. I was just playing Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the time when it came out, 2013. Was it 2013, 2014?
Well, I had a PS2 and a PS4, but I skipped the PS3 for some reason, and so like I didn't have a way to play that or Uncharted. So like that was my window. That was my opportunity.
Yeah, we didn't game for a long time until you got a PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
always on the opposite platforms.
Yep.
We're like, damn it.
That's why Monster Hunter worked out for all of us. I know Max mentioned it earlier, but Ryan, let's go ahead and hit up your list with. I think you mentioned Marathon earlier. If you want to start us off with that.
I mean, that's definitely the thing that I've been playing obsessively. I would say that my gaming this year has fallen into nostalgia and shooters. Those are kind of like the two, or even not even nostalgia, just like cozy games, which is pretty funny, I guess, saying it out loud. It's like my vibe is shoot someone in the face and then go build a roller coaster. You know. Like,
yeah, those are that's
pretty
hilarious.
That's pretty much my gaming. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like my number, dude, this might be, a hot take, but I think it's my favorite game of the year, and I think it will be my favorite game of the year come December.
That's some high praise right there.
I said it to one of our other friends. I was like, if this game can live for at least a year and I'm still playing it, I will put it in the echelon of Apex, which I have like 3,500 hours in, I think.
Right. So you're, you're the highest rank in Apex, right?
I'm definitely prestiged. I'm like quadruple prestiged on it. I'm like third prestige, like level 482 or something like that. Yeah,
Shit.
I played season 0 Apex, and then our friend Aaron and me picked it up in season 7, and then played until about maybe a year ago is when we started to fall off again.
Mhm.
Coming back occasionally for like, oh, my favorite legend got a new prestige skin. Oh, like the Gundam thing, which I actually didn't play. But anyways, yeah, it's to me, it's an all-time shooter, and I will say Marathon falls into that category. And ironically, it's made by Bungie, one of the most prestigious, game studios ever, and making arguably the most famous shooter of all time, Halo. And
Sorry, what game?
call it Halo ODST. Maybe you've heard of it. Yeah. So Bungie kind of did their magic here. I mean, I don't know why I thought it was gonna not. I didn't come in this convinced. And I didn't even start recommending the game to other people until maybe about 30 hours in.
Wow.
Because I know a lot of people have been like burned by big AAA games and lots of like nice sounding promises, but I really wanted to put some time into the game before I started telling people like, dude, you should pick this game up. And like, also I've been playing this game for like a month now, and I'm like not even close to tired of it.
Well, I think initially public perception of it during alphas and stuff wasn't very high, right? Especially with the high of arc raiders out at the time.
Yeah, and that's gonna be their ghost for the entirety of the game's life. Like they're always going to be compared to arc raiders probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually talking to someone about it the other night, that like, to me, losing gear in arc raiders feels really bad, but in Destiny and
let it go.
It doesn't. it doesn't feel bad to me to lose gear in Marathon. I think it's I think the loot drops are very generous, and all the guns are like pretty viable. Like you're never feeling like you're too poor to like buy a viable weapon. I mean, I play a lot, so the economy might feel different for me as someone who's already gathered a lot of resources by playing. But it's just a masterclass in like making gunplay feel good. And again, it's just absolutely no surprise that Bungie pulled that off. But as with any AAA game of recent years, I definitely kind of tempered my expectations and held my tongue and didn't really want to get too excited until I, kind of saw what the game was fully. And I have to say, man, again, it's probably going to be my favorite game of the year. It currently is. I think I have probably about maybe 60 to 70 hours in it already.
Jeez.
Like, I'm playing like every day, dude. I'm like, I get home from work and I'm like, you guys want to play Marathon? So,
Max, do you share the same sentiment?
I'm not quite as high on the game as Ryan is. I think I have like 35, 36 hours in it or something like that, where I'm enjoying it, but I do see that I feel like it has a more limited appeal than Arc Raiders in the sense that, like, the gunplay is very good in Marathon. I think it's better as a shooter than Arc Raiders, but I think Arc Raiders does a better job of capturing the ability to play different ways, since like there's the whole thing about like people play pacifist in Arc Raiders, and there's the whole sense of like communication where you go in and it's like, oh no, are they going to be friendly? Are they not going to be friendly? How do I play safe? And like Marathon, overwhelmingly, nobody is friendly ever. It's like incredibly sweaty.
Why is that?
I think
that's just the nature of the game, or maybe it's just a shooter or the player base that's involved. I can't tell you why, for example.
I think it also it comes down, I think, a little bit to like as you're playing on the world that Bungie has built, it's pretty much like the entire planet is out to kill you. And so I think that might be part of it too. Like it definitely feels more like a shooter than an extraction shooter or like a battle royale or anything. Like it definitely feels very much like cooperation is not on the table. And then it just like one of the plants, like one of the endemic plants in the game, if it hits you, it will take down 75% of your health, and you will get a debuff that stops you from healing more effectively for like 3 minutes. And they're everywhere. And it's like super easy to like run into one.
Who keeps planting this fucking thing here?
Dude, stop. Oh, what are we thinking? But you know what I mean? I think the Bungie is intentionally painting a world that is supposed to be dangerous. So I think that's part of it as well, is that there's just this sense that like any and everything will kill you. The AI is brutal. And I actually really appreciate that, because you're never like, there's been total times where like you'll get pinched by the freaking NPCs.
Ooh.
Like they're smart and they're aggressive. Like they will fuck you up. So to me, you know, Ark has some pretty gnarly enemy types, but like the beginner enemy types aren't super aggressive. You know, you can break line of sight and, you know, get away and disengage pretty easily. Like Marathon, it's like they'll fucking hunt you down, dude, and it takes a really long time for them to de-aggro. And just in general, the game is just very it evokes the fact that you are, you know, a million bajillion light years away from Earth, and you're trying. I mean, Marathon in a nutshell is a classic like humans must find a new planet thing, you know. But you know, they do a really good job of that. And I will say, and I don't think everyone agrees with me on this, I'm just saying, not you guys, but just as a whole, the art direction is so good. The world building is so good. The lore drops that you get just by doing like go fetch missions on the maps is just masterful, man. It is like everyone else is trying to do a fraction what Bungie does when they do that. Like Arc Raiders, you're like, oh, like go to this like little shed and then you can like, you know, whatever. But like you learn most of it through like random like game trailers or, you know, the intro cutscene. But Arc Raiders doesn't have a lot of exposition, which I think is cool for some people, because you're just like, oh, I'm in this wasteland and blah blah blah. But like Bungie never stops drip feeding you what's going on. They always have some sort of like little, you know, NPC person that you're doing missions for kind of telling you like, oh, like this person and this person is like doing this. And they, you know, that combined with their extremely like daft hand at doing environmental storytelling and world building is just like really ratchets this game up another couple notches for me, because it's Halo, but it's just like some of the most unique sci-fi that I've encountered in a long time. Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's copying anything. And I think for me and to my taste, that gives it such a huge bonus. And dude, the last thing I'll mention about you know, this subject, as far as just like the world building and whatnot, it's like a little bit cosmic horror too, which I was not expecting. So, you know, it's pretty weird to like play this like, you know, online shooter, and then you just have these like moments of quiet like between your fights, and you're walking in this room and you like all of a sudden notice how creepy it is. You're like, dude, this could be in like BioShock or Dead Space or something, you know?
Wow.
So I think a lot of people are clowning on the like vibrant design, but I think it took me a little bit to get used to it. But once I kind of adapted to the style of the game, like no complaints. And the gameplay, like I said, super tight and very addictive game loop. It does a lot of things better than Arc Raiders, in my opinion, which I have also been playing and have played. But yeah, I just think it's a killer game, and I understand why people don't love it, but it is the game for me. It's built for me. Like all those years sniping on Halo and Destiny have paid dividends for me.
You got that muscle memory back.
It feels exactly like sniping in Halo. Like a lot of the weapons feel like old Bungie weapons.
Max?
To respond to your question earlier, Pat, thinking about it as to like why it feels more hostile in Marathon, I think Arc Raiders does a better job of painting a world where it feels like it's us versus them, where it's like there's humans and then there's Arc, and it's like the Arc is the common enemy. Right. And, you know, there's a tenuous relationship between the human survivors that are on the surface. I feel like in Marathon, the line between runners and the AI UESC security bots is like almost non-existent. Like at a glance, like everybody's a robot. Like what you're playing as a player are like robotic shells, and you're fighting robots. And there's people like the neutral players are playing as rooks, and their whole point is that they can like blend in with the robots. So it's like everyone's a robot. So it's like the feeling is like everyone's out to get you. You know, at a glance, you see a silhouette moving in the distance, and like you get confused where you're like, is that an enemy player or is that a CPU? Like at a glance, you might not be able to tell with the way that the AI moves. And so it feels much more threatening. Whereas, you know, there's much less of a line between enemy players and the AI.
Interesting.
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Hearing that.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
You hear a human player in Arc Raiders, you're like, oh, I know what that is. They're very just visually distinctive compared to the Arc. And what I've seen of Marathon, I can kind of imagine that too. I'm like, how do people know? I guess you play enough that you can tell, of course, player movement versus AI, but it's still something you can't tell right away.
I mean, it is I think it's very intentional too, because I was kind of lamenting how not good the skins are in the game. I was like, man, like I like this game a lot. I could be down to put some extra money into it, especially because it's only $40. And then I'm like, I am not motivated at all to spend money on any of the cosmetics. And I think that's very intentional by Bungie, so that like, because there's already kind of a blurriness between, you know, the AIs and the players, I think that they're really intentional about like not messing up the different like heroes silhouettes. So to me, I think that like that's absolutely like a part of like what Bungie is trying to do, is that they're like, yeah, even though like the bots and stuff look very similar, all of the characters, the hero characters, like, you know, are different, whatever you want to call them, like they all looked different enough so that you can like know what you're facing. Especially if you played enough, you're like, oh, okay, they have a triage, which is basically like a lifeline. And they have like a Vandal, which is kind of like an Octane type of character, doing the Apex analogies. And, you know, they have, you know, like an assassin character. It's kind of like Crypto a little bit, or, you know, so that you can tell. And so that way you can kind of be like, oh, well, I know that they have a healing character. Like we should be really aggressive when we knock somebody so they don't reset. So anyways, yeah, I think everything kind of blends together, but it also, I think, is very intentional too, because otherwise the skins would be way cooler.
One thing I'd like to say before we move on, and I don't want to spend too much time on this subject, but one thing that I think I have mixed feelings about the game is the progression system. I think is a double-edged sword, where there's a lot more power behind the progression system and like leveling up your character, and like the account unlocks for getting faction reputation. You get like literal stat upgrades. You know, it just aside from like Arc Raiders, the skill tree isn't incredibly impactful. Like you're not getting all that much power out of it, but somebody who has maxed out their skill tree in Marathon versus somebody who's like fresh has nothing, like that's a huge difference. On top of the higher power gear having much greater disparity than crappy gear in Marathon, means that I don't know how I'm going to feel about that once they do a wipe, like for the seasonal reset. Because like I'm enjoying the grind now, but it already is to the point where there are people that have played like way more, and it's like you'll have the random super sweaty group of trios in the lobby where like they have all purple shields and all purple guns and they're super kitted out, and they just roll around in a death ball and they wipe the lobby. And it's like, you know, for people that don't play as much, it's probably going to be harder and harder to keep up. I mean, you could kill them then if you got super magically lucky and get some gear, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to feel very good once they do a complete wipe every 3 months for the seasonal reset. And I don't know.
I would say that's casual friendly though, right? Because it means that all these people with all this crazy gear like don't get to keep it forever.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. Was like, but it's pretty much a race to the top.
Casual, then you're never going to be anywhere close to that. You're always going to be the.
Well, except in 2 months when it resets, then you'll be the same as everybody else.
Man, unless you're playing enough to keep up, then you're always going to be behind the curve. I mean, there's never going to be a case. There's never going to be a case where you get your skill tree maxed and that you're on even playing field, because the disparity between having that maxed out and not having it maxed out is large.
I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not going to be.
And I just feel like it feels like there's a lot more effort also that has to go into leveling it up. Like it's a much more not convoluted, but there's a lot more to like getting the faction unlocks and going out and getting all the specific materials you need. In Arc, it's like it's not that big of a deal, other than you just play games and you get experience. But I will. It seems like, I don't want to say it's a hassle, but I mean, I guess that's the whole point of the game is after a certain point. But I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to go look for reclaimed biostripping to get shield charge perk unlocks.
That is a whole bunch of made up words that I don't know what the fuck you just said.
I will say though that like something that I think, and again, I agree with Max that I want to talk about Marathon for an hour, although I could probably talk about it for 4 hours. One thing that I think it does way better than Arc Raiders is Arc Raiders, dude, it just feels like everything is like the loot is just so goddamn random. You're like, do I take this fork? Should I bring a fork with me? Like, but even though it's all sci-fi nonsense, each faction, there's 6 factions, each faction only has like 6 pieces of loot that they actually want. So you start to get to a point in the game where you're like, oh, I'm no longer going to pick up this thing because it's either low value for me at a certain point, or I've already progressed this faction far enough that I'm not really worried about their treasures that they're looking for. So to me, I think that is something that it does way better than Arc Raiders, is that it's like, with a little bit of time with the game, everything becomes really, really clear because there's a lot of intention behind it. Like there's a ton of like because basically all the factions are mega corporations, and like that drama is like kind of interesting. But it's literally like corpo drama,
Yeah.
But the people who the corporation who is responsible for feeding all the colonists like wants you to go find like plant life and like stuff, and like the faction that's like more about PvP like stuff and like wants the data of like what your fight was like. They only care about certain types of crafting materials, so there's a lot going on, especially because again it's all sci-fi, none of it's real. Like, at least you see a fork, you know what a fork is. But I think that after you hit that initial barrier, like the game is actually really clear at communicating what you're supposed to do, and like really silos things together so that it's all becomes like very like, oh, okay, like I can now look at a container and be like, I don't want any of this, and it becomes easier to loot, and it's like less like static.
Well, really quick, before we get on to the rest of Ryan's list, would you guys be willing to put a score on it?
On Marathon?
Ooh,
yeah.
Like a tentative score.
Yeah, like a tentative score. Score in progress, yeah.
Review in progress.
I would say, knowing that the game it's a live service game and hasn't, completed its life cycle, we don't know what the future looks like as far as content or whatever. But just based on like it hitting all the right notes for me, like everything that I would want in a game like this, it does exactly that. And like Max says, he disagrees with some of what I have to say, and I've talked to other people who disagree with my takes on this game. But like for me, I would say at 8.9, and I think that could even be a conservative.
Okay. And we're going like school rules, basically. 8.9 out of 10 is like a B plus.
I mean, I would give it an A, but I'm like, I hesitate to give anything.
Jury's still out, pretty much.
I just like, I'm in the belief that's like, oh, this is the best burrito I've ever had. You're like, I don't want to say it's the best, like the best. I haven't tasted every burrito ever. It's just the best burrito that I've ever had. I still want to leave wiggle room for like the best game ever to exist. So, I still think that 8.9 is about as high as I could possibly give a brand new live service game.
Max?
I probably place it somewhere between an 8 to an 8.5. I think that, contrary to what Ryan said, I think there's a lot in the game that's very obtuse. The game doesn't like telling you how to complete
Oh, that's true.
Where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that. I had to look shit up.
You try and go into the ranked mode, and it doesn't. There's no indication of what you're supposed to be doing or how you extract and survive. It just says, figure it out. And on top of, there's some balancing issues around certain classes and some other small things. So I have to knock some points off.
Okay.
And I think there's
That's
also
higher than I thought you were going to say.
Some points probably lost because of my own personal preferences. I prefer playing slower and more cautiously, and I think the game rewards you for being fast and aggressive in a way that, I don't know. I don't like feeling as railroaded in terms of playstyle. So I would probably put it closer to like an 8 out of 10. But I think there's room for improvement. I think the bones of the game are good. Yeah. I think with some balancing and some changes, I think it has room to increase from that initial score.
They seem pretty responsive too. Like they've already done a lot of changes that people were complaining about. So I think that's positive.
You got to remember, this is a live service game, so it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Really quick, last question about this one. What would you recommend to a gamer that can only buy one, Arc Raiders or Marathon?
Marathon. I don't think
quick off the draw.
I wouldn't say that like Marathon is as universally appealing, but like what would I buy? What would I recommend? I would say Marathon. But like I understand that like that's dependent on the person.
Yeah.
Like I would have to know them, but like sight unseen, I think Marathon's a better game.
Max?
I don't even think that they're comparable in the sense that like basically the question becomes, do you want a shooter or do you want a survival game?
So pick up Luminous.
Arc Raiders is a better survival game, I think. In the environments and like the way that you approach fights and traversing the world. And I think that Marathon is a much better shooter. And I think it comes down to what that player is looking for, honestly.
Yeah, I've
very
heard
good points.
If you want, more enjoyable AI, like non-player character NPC style combat game, the AI in Arc Raiders is more enjoyable, more fun to play. But if you want more PvP, that's where Marathon.
You want the smoke, you go to Arc Raiders. Yeah. You want a single player experience, something that can be single player experience, you go to Marathon. Is that kind of what that is?
I think it's different even because Arc Raiders has, if you go in in the solo queue, you only get other people that are queuing in solo.
Right.
So that has its own unique experience. I've had days where, the game was a lot more threatening if you're by yourself. And so I've had a lot of experiences where people were much more willing to be cooperative and communicative in single player. Whereas in Marathon, single player, you're playing as a special class, the Rook, and it throws you in the lobbies with other groups. And you have to play sneaky. Like there's no lobby with only individual.
You also
players.
Can't bring your own gear in, and you can't like run contracts and stuff. It's like it's literally meant to buff
very
your
sweaty.
loot.
Like you're meant to be like the sneaky rat that.
Yeah.
What a weird ass game.
It's like Scabs from Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah.
I mean, you can but you can also play by yourself and and queue up with random people. It's not the only way to play by yourself, but the game is definitely designed you're going to have a huge advantage if you have a pre-made team. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, what else have you been playing, Ryan?
Battlefield was definitely because I pretty much always like to have some sort of shooter that I'm enjoying. Rocket League, I think, took that honor for a long time too, just because there weren't really any good shooters for a long time, honestly. And then Arc Raiders was pretty good, and Battlefield 6 came out, and I was really hoping that one was gonna, kind of scratch that itch for me, and because they kept advertising, it's like, oh, like we have 10 studios on this. It's like we're gonna make this as close to Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 as possible, like. I was like, I believe you, and then I was wrong. I even bought a couple people Battlefield 6 so that I could have some people to play with because there was some trepidation.
Yeah.
And those people were right, and I was wrong, and that stings. Battlefield actually just announced their content plan for the year, and it's not bad. It's just mostly remakes, map remakes, and you're like, okay. So yeah, I will say that I have had fun with that. It is very nice to kind of have a like a competitive game that's like somewhat turn your brain off. I mean, you can't turn your brain off all the way if you're playing an online competitive game, but it's like Battlefield feels so familiar to me, and like the gunplay feels so familiar that I can just kind of like hop into a lobby, have a good time and not stress about it too much. Whereas like Arc Raiders, there was like so much other stuff I had to manage. I hate playing inventory manager and all that stuff. So it's nice to just play a classic shooter.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Battlefield. Again, like I said, played some Arc Raiders as well. I enjoyed that. I'll pick up Helldivers every once in a while.
I still want to play some more of that.
Yeah. The real turn my brain off game for sure is either between, Planet Coaster or Fire Red for me right now. Like, both of those I feel like I can just like pick up for a little bit, play, and then,
yeah, you mentioned comfort food or comfort gaming at some point. Those are definitely some good choices.
Yeah, I mean, Planet Coaster is the spiritual successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon from when we were little kids. It's literally the same development team because basically, as Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, Chris Sawyer obviously made the first two by himself, and then Atari came in and like tried to get the third one to make just as much money, and they went all 3D and everything. But that Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 was still good, especially considering like Atari has absolutely bastardized the franchise at this point. It's sad, honestly. But the original team that made 3 came back and like made the spiritual successor. They didn't have the IP rights to the thing because Atari owned them, so they basically made their own version, which is called Planet Coaster. So it's definitely a good time if that's kind of your thing, like the city builder kind of like type of game where you get to design and make stuff. And then of course Fire Red is just a nostalgia bomb. I was also been replaying Kingdom Hearts 1, so that's been pretty fun. So yeah, just like definitely have some games that are, it's like, if I don't want to watch the cutscene, I can skip it and not feel like I'm missing anything. Like, and that's kind of nice. I remember when I like Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, did an IMAX re-release. I went with my friend and I like got up for like 20 minutes and like went to the bathroom, got some concessions, and I was like, I didn't feel bad about that. I've never left a movie theater. I always feel so stressed about it. You know what I mean? I don't want to miss anything. So I will say that there's something about, knowing the material of a game and just being like not having to feel like you have to focus. It's nice to, like I said, turn your brain off. So yeah, I've been enjoying those a lot, and on Cinnabar Island for Fire Red right now. So
wow,
getting close to the end.
There you go. Catch Mewtwo right there.
Well, apparently the end game content is like way different. I don't know if I ever did the end game content.
I saw something recently on a YouTube short that
there's a lot. Yeah, I had no clue.
Get some Johto Pokemon on that game. Yeah.
It's like all these like after game like extra islands and stuff you can do. So it seems like there's actually a lot there, which I'll probably be playing this coming week. So
awesome. Brian, what's been your main game so far?
Yeah, so I've been primarily playing only 2 games at the moment, and one I did complete, which was really good. So the big one that I probably put the most amount of time in over the last month, 2 months, I guess, of the game release, has been Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9.
Resident Evil. Do they do that?
It's so funny.
Come on, they have to. Oh.
I can't recall. I mean, I booted that game up probably like at least, I don't know, 40 times now, and I cannot tell you if they actually say that when I hit the start screen. I will check back on that, or we'll throw
deduct points
in the background here. Yeah. But coming from, probably the publisher developer of the freaking decade at this point, Capcom. I mean, they've just putting out bangers this last, 5-10 years. This year in particular has been really good. I know Monster Hunter Wilds kind of came off to a little bit of a rough start, but a lot of people could say they've effectively righted the ship a bit. Resident Evil, last couple Resident Evil games are pretty good. Maybe not Resident Evil 3 remake as much, but RE4 fantastic.
But it's not the worst thing ever, right?
It's not the worst.
Yeah, even the freaking Temu, was it Exoprimal? I was gonna say Temu Dino Crisis. Like, that wasn't the worst thing ever. It was just okay. But they've been fucking killing it since 2017. So
fighters, shooters, everything. And then they have and I'll talk about it in a little bit here, but and Pragmata coming out today.
Woo!
So technically 9 o'clock, which is literally right now.
Right now,
fuck. Recording.
Turn the shit off.
For,
bye, guys.
Pacific Standard
That's it,
Time.
everybody.
And that's the show. But out tomorrow for everyone else. So they've been putting out some good stuff. Other games, of course, that they worked on, we just talked about. They've got a lot of stuff. I mean, I played most of the Resident Evils, played most of the Monster Hunter games. Haven't played a lot of the fighters, as we know. I'm not much of a fighter.
That's my territory.
Arcade fighter, that's your thing. And I've been playing it. I've exclusively played Resident Evil Requiem and most of their games lately on PC. So I can only speak to the PC experience. I have seen some gameplay of Resident Evil on PlayStation 5. And from what I could tell, it visually looks great there too and plays quite well.
Really quick, for the room.
Yes.
Has anyone else played RE9? Or planned on to?
I plan on playing it, though.
I plan on it as well. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Yeah, pretty much give us like a whole pseudo, spoiler-free review if you'd like.
Happy to. And for those who don't want to listen to, me talk about it, TLDR it's a highly recommend. I would go ahead and play it, especially if you play the other games. I would say that kind of the way I look at a lot of games is kind of 4 categories. You could probably break them out into other maybe smaller subcategories, but I like to look at visuals. I like to look at sound design. I like to look at gameplay and also
Leon.
Story. Leon.
Just
How
Leon.
much is Leon in the game? And what kind of mods can I do to make him look
Jesus.
Some of the mods it's hilarious.
Careful.
Did you unlock that cow bikini yet?
Oh my gosh, you can get some stuff. So yeah, I would say from the visual standpoint, playing on PC has been an absolute dream. It's for the most part, so it does run on RE Engine, which has had some struggles with open world games that Capcom has put out. Monster Hunter Wilds, as we know very well, kind of being one of the ones it struggles with. But when it comes to single player games, it's done very well. It's quite well optimized. Thankfully, I do have a relatively recent RTX graphics card. I mean, it's technically more than 2 years old at this point. But it's allowed me to play with the full path tracing visual and lighting graphics for the game, and it's really impressed me how much different the game looks with path tracing versus even that of like the standard ray tracing or standard global illumination based lighting. So highly recommended if you can get a way to play it on path traced on PC. Worth giving it a shot. It will cut your frame rate down significantly. It does require you to use frame generation and, of course, upscaling, DLSS upscaling in this case. But absolutely beautiful game. I was always kind of drawn back by in a good way, like kind of amazed by some of the visuals I was seeing. Some of the set designs for like where you're going in the game, they're very visually striking. So you'll have a lot of awesome transitions between the standard Resident Evil fare. You'll have some kind of decrepit caves and, maybe like a prison that then just all of a sudden becomes like a hyper, well, I won't spoil anything, but some very cool futuristic looking kind of
set pieces,
I guess,
stages.
Pieces and visuals. Yeah. You're like, ooh, Umbrella's been doing something here. So visuals, phenomenal. Really, really like it. I think probably one of the best games I've seen in years. I mean, the graphics, so when they do the close-ups on Leon and Grace, you're just kind of blown away. And I'm not talking about the DLSS 5.
I was just going to ask.
Get that out of here. No, none of that. But just the actual, baked in art and visuals are beautiful, especially with the path tracing. Sound design, also a hallmark for the Resident Evil series.
100%.
Really highly recommend playing it with headphones or a good sound system. A lot of really cool sound settings in the game. A huge shout out to almost like a callback to something I haven't seen in almost 10 years, maybe less, or I would say 5 to 10 years. Like, when's the last Naughty Dog title we played? Last of Us? When did that come out?
2022? Oh, wait.
I think 2013, and then we played Uncharted 4 came out after that, right?
2015? Maybe 2014, actually.
Maybe
14 or 15
years.
Yeah.
Do you all remember? So in the sound settings for the Naughty Dog games, you can select your speaker positions.
Yeah.
Like you can set the angle of your speakers, and that's so cool. You can customize, how the surround sound is going to work. And Capcom puts that into Resident Evil Requiem. I don't think I've seen it in Monster Hunter. I don't think I've seen it in any of their other Resident Evil games. I'm like, that is so cool to see that. So if you have a good sound system, you can really dial in the audio the way you want it.
I mean, for a horror game like that, where every subtle noise is just like, if you could pinpoint it, that has to make it even more immersive, right?
Oh, huge. That's the big draw to it, is the immersion and just getting terrified if you're into horror, which I'll touch on in a moment here. But another cool sound design feature that they have is a sound reverberation feature, which just helps with kind of allowing sound to have a little bit more distance and perceived distance to it. I think we've seen this a lot in like the Dead Space remake, where you might be moving in through maybe like a hallway, and the sound of maybe someone banging a hammer sounds different as you approach and get closer around different corners and stuff. It kind of sounds like it's further away, very realistically, when you've got a couple corners to get around before you see that.
Yeah.
And they do that really well with Requiem too. You'll hear zombies singing and
so you just mute it for me. Remember, I get better if I turn off the audio.
Yes, you do. You get better. I love that. No sound. It's just better players. So really like the sound design. I've been enjoying it with headphones. I would say for gameplay, I've been really enjoying it. I very much love horror. It's one of my most loved genres. And I think they strike a really good balance between kind of capturing the action kind of aspects of the last few games, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. Of course, I've gone more in an action direction, and that was a lot of fun. And you're like, yeah, sign me up for that. Unfortunately, no co-op for our Resident Evil Requiem, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So the fact that the game is broken up into both a slight spoiler, a Leon section, and of course a playthrough for Grace, the titular character. How could you say those names? Has been a really good balance. So Leon's gameplay is in third person by default. He's got a lot more ammo. He's got way more powerful weapons. He's going to have all of the standard Resident Evil, melee abilities. You shoot something in the head, you can come up and kick it or do a suplex. Whereas with Grace's gameplay is going to be in first person, much closer to what we played with Ethan's story in Resident Evil 7 and 8, where she's not a combat expert. She's going to have very limited ammo. And a much harder experience when it comes to surviving. So for those who really like the more horror aspects of RE7 and RE8, there's something there for you. And then if you're really into, of course, more action-driven games, there's something there for you there too. So it kind of allows anyone to really enjoy the game. You can swap out the perspectives at any point for either character, which is really cool.
I was just saying, have you messed around with that at all? Like, did you go third person for, Rose and first person for Leon at some point?
So I did play the first playthrough in the way the game's kind of defaulted. So I played Grace in first person, played Leon third. But as I played through my second playthrough and my speed runs, I actually played first person for both of them, including Leon.
Interesting.
Which is actually kind of fun to kind of have that more like first person style shooter.
There was no first person mode in RE4 Remake, right?
I don't recall.
Unless you played it in VR.
I don't think
in
so.
VR. I was like, there's a VR mode that you could do that might allow you to do that. But had an absolute blast playing that. I will say that the big advantage of PC as well is that you can use mods, which is, I guess, pretty self-explanatory. And one of the helpful mods for that game is to be able to customize the FOV. So unfortunately, the FOV is locked for Grace on console. There is no FOV slider, at least at the time I was playing. I hope maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they pushed an update. But for a PC player who sits very close to their monitor, which I imagine most of us do, having an FOV that's super tight is kind of nauseating. It just does not feel very good. And even with Leon in third person, it's a little close. It's kind of like up on his back. And I'm like, come on, let me see more of his body. So you can pull that back
That's
a little bit.
That's what that mod support
really
is
nice.
for.
That's why we do it. So happy to be able to do that.
So real quick, does you mentioned that it trades off from like Rose's story to Leon's story to Rose's story, and it has like a good pace. Well, I don't know if you specifically said it's a good pace throughout. Is it a good pace? Do you think that the Leon sections break up the Rose sections and vice versa to kind of have like a cohesive pace throughout? Is it more wonky that way? Do you think that like having it set that way as opposed to like a Leon A story and a Rose A story kind of limits its replay value, or what do you think?
That's a great point, actually, comparing it to Resident Evil 2 and having the different playthroughs be separate. I really enjoyed the overall swapping, especially towards the end, like the pace of having you kind of bounce back and forth between the two stories. Initially, you kind of think that you're playing a lot more as one character than the other. I won't say who, just for keeping it fresh for those that play. But,
Wesker.
as the game, you're playing as the Alan Wesker character.
Gotcha.
He's back. By the time you get towards like the last third of the game, you start to have a really good balance, and I think you by the end of it, there's like
it feels right.
Equivalent. Yeah. It feels right. Like you're like, oh, wow, I had a big section with Grace, I had a big section with Leon, and I've had a ton of like smaller sessions with both, and they've kind of all added up to be about the same time. I will say Grace's sections are probably going to take a little longer just because she has to play a little bit smarter and doesn't have the same resource stuff. Whereas Leon, you can kind of just go guns blazing and just play through it.
And depending on who's behind the sticks, if you're a little bitch like me, it'll take a lot longer. 3 years or so.
Hey, you'll get to it
eventually.
But yeah, and then connected to that is going to be, of course, the story. I would say the story is the one aspect of the game that's probably like of those four pillars, maybe the weakest part of the game for me, and not by too much.
Do we really play Capcom games for story though?
Maybe with this Pragmata game, apparently so. But yeah,
not an erasure for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, who? I was like,
I heard erasure.
Yeah. I don't remember that name.
Oh, Eraserhead. Okay,
gotcha.
Horror movie.
Oh my god.
It's not a horror movie. It's yeah. So for the story, I would say that it kind of gets a little ridiculous by the end of it, which I think is kind of the standard fare for Resident Evil. Like it starts interesting, you're kind of invested. There's a mystery that you're trying to unfold. You're trying to understand, the purpose of these characters. And then I say by the end of it, it just goes in a direction that's kind of like, okay, I don't know. And there's been a lot of jokes that have been made about it. I think a lot of really fun little videos. But you strike a good point. Generally, we don't really play it for, the amazing writing. We're there to hear just those amazing Leon one-liners. That's what we're really here for. And they deliver those in spades, which is really good. So,
so if you were here to throw a score on it, what would you put?
I'd give it. I like to go solid integers. I'll give me that full number. I would go give it a 9.
Whoa! Oh shit! The T virus just affected Brian.
Am I back?
Yeah, he's back.
I'm back. He's back. He went to Resident Evil. They didn't like his score.
Resident Evil.
That's Umbrella's enforcer got him.
Yeah, would you give us a 10?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I just assumed PlayStation's Discord app was being bad again, so it didn't even register for me. So.
All good. In case it didn't get brought over, it got cut off, I would say I would give it a solid 9 out of 10.
I was waiting for it to happen again.
Yeah. Oh, it's not a 10.
Awesome.
Really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. If you enjoy horror games, of course, pick it up. If you like even some of the action games from 5 and 6 from Resident Evil, give it a shot too. It's really good.
And to be clear, you have not played any of the Resident Evil Outbreak games, correct?
I have not.
Because I know that for some people coming from Outbreak, I know like Alyssa is a legacy character. Alyssa Ashcroft, Grace's mother, is a legacy character returning from the Outbreak games.
Fucking spoiler, bro.
Jesus.
So there are people that are coming in interested in the story, hoping that potentially the characters and references brought forward from Outbreak are sort of done justice. And I haven't played the game, so I can't
remind me which one is Outbreak?
Those are the multiplayer games that were out on PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah,
they were very, very ahead of their time.
Wow, that reaction, Patrick.
Oh no, I'm thinking. Oh, sorry, I got stuck up on the multiplayer. I was thinking of the mobile games or whatever, that cell shaded one where it was like a weird fighting game. But now I know which one you're talking about, and yeah, they were very ahead of the times. The Yo Video Games guys play that Resident Evil Outbreak game, and
Yeah.
they have a special soft spot for that. Last question for RE9: would you recommend, like, if someone's getting into the RE verse from this point forward, would would it be okay to start at RE9, or like, would you recommend that they go back and play 7 or 8, or where would you start?
Yeah, I think the game does have the ability to be played from like the start with 9 and not necessarily be missing out too much on maybe story elements that have been brought forward through the Ethan story from RE7 and RE8. It's a completely different character. I mean, Max brought up a good point with Grace's mother in this game, that she might be connected to another game, but they don't ever reference, I think, the story to Outbreak in any way. If there is any story there. So yeah, it can definitely be played. I think there's a huge benefit, of course, of just knowing Leon's character and what he stands for and what he's done. But he's such an amazing just action hero that, like, he just kind of fills that role. And if you don't even know who he is, you just see him on screen one time as he walks like a badass on screen. You're like, oh, okay, he's he's the cool guy with the guns. That works. So I'd say go for it. If you haven't played the games, you can still start up with RE9 and I think be fine. But probably hopefully be interested in learning more about the story that Umbrella and that the other games have set.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that spoiler-free review. Almost spoiler-free, Max. Jeez. And the other...
This was known... It's not a spoiler.
The other game you mentioned, another Capcom game that I very much was looking forward to, Pragmata. How many hours have you gotten into there?
So
we didn't get it yet, right?
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, so I did. You're correct. I messaged the group and said, hopefully, I can get a few hours in yesterday before our podcast. I saw the release date on Steam saying Thursday, and incorrectly assumed that was Thursday Eastern midnight. So that we could play Wednesday at 9. It's actually Friday Eastern to then be a Thursday 9 p.m. release. So I haven't started yet. I have it pre-installed. I look forward to trying it tonight.
I believe they pushed it up too. I believe it was closer to Invincible and what's it called, Saros. So at the end of this month.
Okay, for release.
Yeah,
nice.
So I'm glad they moved it up as well, because I was like, crap, I can't buy all 3 of these right now. Did you play the demo by any chance?
I actually didn't. I've only seen gameplay.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go in fresh. I knew I was interested by the game just off of the visuals alone. I get some big Dead Space vibes just seeing it, and I know that's not the game. It's not horror.
That's why I was when you mentioned it, I was like, that's interesting that he's interested in this title.
Yeah, I see the helmet. I think Dead Space, and then just that kind of like futuristic. I feel like there is something scary about some of the robots. So. They have a certain look to them that's like a little creepy and kind of non-human, which I enjoy visually. So we'll see. I might change my mind by the time I give a good 12 hours in the game, and we can follow up on it in a following podcast. And I'll let you know how wrong I was.
This game isn't scary at all. What is this shit?
But I've just been drawn by the visuals, and it's a new IP by Capcom, and it's great to support that effort whenever possible. Don't think we see a lot of that anymore.
Yeah, especially when we thought it was like a fake game for a long time. Turns out it wasn't, and turns out after they showed the gameplay demo and they actually released the gameplay demo, I was all about it. Like, this is 100% my type of game. This is a Patrick ass fucking game, and it's Capcom, so
Well, could tell us about your games, man.
No. For me, so I'm kind of like Ryan in the sense that I've been playing some not cozy games, but comfort food games, pretty much, other than Monster Hunter. And so, like, one of the big ones, I'm not gonna go too big on it because I am gonna have a future episode of the Palibros Sidequest with my wife. But we did end up finishing Final Fantasy X over the weekend. It was her first ever go around through that game, and again, just to preface, this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's gonna be on my list till the end of time. I absolutely love this game. Of course, developed by Square Enix, and again, beat it with Marisha last weekend. The soundtrack to this game is some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard. It brings me to tears every time. The story, the characters, the setting, just everything, all about it. It is is one of those things that literally changed my brain chemistry as a 9-year-old back in 2001, 2002. And so, you know, it was one of those things that just came at the right time, and I, you know, it basically became part of my personality. And I was like, you know, me and Marisha, we enjoy games together now. I need to show her this, just so, like, even though we've been together for going on 15 years now, something like that. No, that doesn't sound right. 11 or 12 years, whatever. I was like, this is something that you are going to learn about me through this experience. And it was just amazing getting to relive the ending and relive that whole journey through her, you know, lens for the first time. All the twists and turns and just all the story beats, and yeah, just an amazing time. So we'll get more into that on our episode of the Palibros Sidequest. But, you know, keeping in tradition of, not tradition, but keeping in the same vein of, you know, JRPGs, there was a second one that, you know, if you guys know me, I'm not a huge JRPG guy. Like, I am the action, sports, competitive shooter, not as so much as Ryan, but, like, you know, I love me some competitive games, you know, fighting games and stuff like that as well. Arcades. There was a second JRPG in the PS2 era that I got a fair chunk through, about 75%, and never finished it for a very stupid reason. And that is Dragon Quest VIII, again, by Square Enix. I've been playing that allegedly on a device that can fit in my pocket, allegedly. And so it is, excuse me, I'm going to cough right quick. Yeah, I have not picked that game back up since the earlier 2000s. So the story goes, me and my brother, you know, we got that game, and he, you know, we trade off. We only had one PS2 in the house. It's a single player game. And so I was playing it a lot more than him. He was closer to getting into college and focusing on school. I was pretty much touting the fact that I was like, oh, I'm like way further than you. At one point he caught up, and then I just all of a sudden just lost interest. I don't know. Maybe NBA Street Volume 2 started calling me again. And so I was like, yeah, I just never picked it back up. I remember loving it. I remember, you know, the Akira Toriyama art style was beautiful. Not cel-shaded graphics, but graphics that are ageless pretty much. You know, it looks great till this day, especially on my alleged phone. And so, yeah, just diving back into that world, it was definitely like a nice feeling of being like, you know, as someone who's deeply invested into like two JRPGs, one being Pokemon Blue and the other Final Fantasy X, like I know those like the back of my hand, basically. It's nice to go into, you know, Dragon Quest VIII of, hey, I've done this before, but I don't remember very much of it. And I'm not like in the weeds in terms of combat. And so it was nice learning those mechanics again, as well as, you know, the biggest draw for me is the music. The music in this game, the composer, let me see, I have it in my notes somewhere. Composer Koichi Sugiyama did a lot of the other Dragon Quest games as well. Nothing I've ever played, but there are pieces of music in this that would bring me to tears as well if, you know, I finished the entire game. There's one specific storyline where there's a kingdom in mourning for their, you know, dead queen, and the music, I believe it's called Remembrance. That piece is like just tugs at my heartstrings. It is absolutely beautiful. Again, the story is intriguing. We are working in, you know, you are a hero who is following, pretty much trying to get the king who's been turned into like this monster. Again, Akira Toriyama art style, so it's not really a monster looking thing. Kind of looks like a shrunken Piccolo, and his princess, you know, daughter princess has been turned to a horse. You're trying to get them back, trying to get the kingdom back. The cast of characters that follows, just an awesome cast of characters. There's the Cockney accent, you know, brawler type tough guy that ends up being indebted to the hero, the main character, because of him saving his life. And then there's, you know, Jessica, the badass bombshell with like magical powers that wants revenge for her brother's murder. this one is my favorite. Angelo. He's like this womanizing Templar that struggles with his relationship with his half brother and their dead parents. Basically, the story is, there's this rich king from this town that was trying to conceive, an heir, and I guess the wife couldn't do it, so he had an affair at a bar at some town, and they birthed that brother, and they were fine with him until the wife actually had another baby, which was Angelo. So he's the rightful heir because it's in the family, whatever. So they kick the older son out. Older son becomes a Templar. Those parents die, and Angelo grows up all alone, goes into like the knighthood school where he gets met by his older brother. He doesn't know, and he's like, oh, like, so he's so nice to him. He's like just a little kid. He finds out he's the real heir, and the brother's the bastard child. And then everything just goes off. He like turns a fucking 180 corner, and you could see that brotherly kind of like relationship just divulge into this horrible thing. And it just shows in Angelo's character that he kind of grows up to be kind of like, oh, I'm let everything bounce off of me because, I was vulnerable before and stuff. So it's just great story, great setting. Music is exceptional again, and it is awesome reliving that, going to that the past and kind of looking back into a game that I never fully finished. Other than that, yeah, my ADHD is kind of doing its thing, so I'm just picking up games left and right. I'm still trying to finish Hi-Fi Rush. Again, I know earlier in the episode, Ryan mentioned Pokemon Fire Red, playing Silver, was it Soul Silver, allegedly, again on something in my pocket, and and Kingdom Hearts as well. I think we mentioned that when we met up in LA, and he was like, yeah, I was playing Kingdom Hearts. And I was like, so am I, what the fuck? And I'm at my favorite world, which is Halloween Town.
Nice.
But other than that, this is the game that I have been really anticipating. It's my second most anticipated game other than Pragmata for 2026 is Screamer. And this game came out of absolutely nowhere. Of course, developer and publishers Milestone Games, they created or they worked on, Hot Wheels Unleashed and MotoGP 22, lots of those racy sim games. Hot Wheels Unleashed, of course, arcade racer, but you can definitely tell it's made by sim people. Like I said, second most anticipated game of the year, randomly coming across it way before the TGAs of 2025. It was just, I swiped left on my phone and there's just new stories of games and stuff. And I was like, it said, oh, you're going to want to watch out for this game called Screamer. I was like, okay, let me just look up the gameplay overview video. And what ensued was this just like, oh my God, freaking, as a huge fan of like arcade racers, I was like, this is speaking to me. And it has a anime visual style and a story mode. And I was like, holy crap, this is the return of arcade racers. I can't freaking wait for this. I love, my favorite kart game is Crash Team Racing because mechanically I found it more interesting than Mario Kart in terms of drifting mechanic and stuff. And this had the same thing. I ended up doing a deep dive on the gameplay trailer that you can see on my youtube.com/KrabbyPatty. And I was like, this is going to be one of my most anticipated games of 2026 because it is saying it is arcade racing. It's visually appealing. There's fighting game like mechanics in terms of, there's a block, there's like an attack mode. You build up meter with drifting or drafting behind people. And it's just like, what is this? I haven't felt like this much fun in a racing game in a while. And the last racing game I picked up was GT7 just because it was such a masterclass in how good it's doing. Like, I'm not usually a sim guy, but if you tell me, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the best RPGs ever, I'm interested in doing like a Baldur's Gate thing or a similar vein, GT7, right? So I was like, yeah, that's fun. Like, it's cool and all. I like the mechanics and stuff, but GT7 is at the end of the day, you got to be really fucking into cars to like really get the most out of it. I just cars for me is, can you get to point A to point B safely? And is gas cheaper than fucking $5.80 right now? It's disgusting. But anyways, back to Screamer. Yeah, the return of arcade racing fun. This thing has a story mode, which was a awesome. Like, I was sold on mechanics alone. I'm a big mechanics guy when it comes to video games. The ones that I play the most are the ones that, you know, have me kind of pushing and pulling against, like, what can I do here, and, you know, how can I, you know, shave off some time here or whatever. Like, that's why I like fighting games, because they're so modular. You could figure out a combo flow structure that is completely different from anyone else, and it's like self-expressive and all that. So the mechanics, again, I was 100% sold. You tell me there's a story mode on top of this and you wrap it in anime, I was like, holy fucking crap, this looks interesting as hell. And I've gotten about, I think about 2 to 4 hours in. I streamed it, or you can find it on or twitch.tv/KrabbyPatty, as well as youtube.com/KrabbyPatty. And the story is pretty interesting. It's like, what is that movie, Crash? Where every single person in the story, you kind of, like, they have some sort of push and pull with each other. You know, everyone's in this race. There's about, like, 5 or 6 teams of 3. Each character you kind of play as in each perspective, in each, you know, respective section, and they all have, like, their reasons for entering the tournament. And it's just, I was like, wow, I did not expect to be invested in a racing game story. You know, again, GT7 didn't really have much of a story. It's just like, oh, here's the history of cars. And yeah, I gotta say, I am intrigued by what's going on in Screamer. I'm about a quarter of the way through. Again, about 4 hours in. Still, it's kind of drip feeding me the mechanics of, you know, if I were to go online, this is what to expect. Mechanically, that's the interesting part about this. You know, I mentioned there's like a boost, there's meters, there's block mechanics, there's attack mechanics. All those things kind of push and pull into, like, it very much reminds me of Street Fighter 6 in the sense that you have to manage your resources, and the better you manage your resources while playing the game, you will do way better. And so I think one of the most interesting things is you don't just normally drift like an arcade racer, whereas, like, you're taking a corner, right? Then you tap, like, brake, and then you'll go into, like, oversteer or counter steer. They actually allocate drifting on the right stick, and if you've seen the gameplay, it, like, swings the body of your car, like, off to the left or to the right, very arcade like. Kind of looks, I don't want to say this in a mean way, but it kind of looks mobile game like in terms of, you know, just arcade racing action. But it feels great, and then coupled with, it has like this pseudo, you know, semi-automatic. It's weird because that use that term for guns, but it's not automatic or it's not manual. The thing is, you upshift, but you don't downshift, and it's very weird. Again, that's mechanically interesting. So I'm just like, I'm balancing all these things together while taking the corner, while trying to block someone who's trying to, you know, take you out. I love that shit. There's perfect timing to, like, get the most out of your boost. And I love being in a space where you have to keep calm under pressure to basically be the winner at the end of the race. Like, that is the type of gameplay that I love the most. That's why I love Devil May Cry. They have perfect timing in the most intense situations. Monster Hunter, perfect blocking, right? Or dodge rolling if you don't have your iframes and stuff. So yeah, Screamer is definitely living up to the hype that I had for it back in 2025. And I think the most striking thing about it is the history of the franchise is completely opposite of what we're getting right now in 2026. You look back at the Screamer franchise, it is like arcade sim looking. There's no influence of anime anywhere. The last one, I believe, was like Screamer 4x4, where you're driving through mountains very slowly. I don't even think there's music in it, but it is just very awkward looking and it doesn't look like anything great. What's up, Ryan?
How are you gonna have like a truck sim and call it Screamer, bro?
Dude, I don't know. That's why I like just looking back at it, I was like, this is fucking crazy. I'm here to, check out the change. And honestly, I think this is a great direction for the studio in terms of, kind of balancing out the portfolio of sim and, arcade racing. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to stream more of it and, see what's up with the story and then go hit some online as well.
Yeah, I had two questions. One, kind of Ryan touched on this a little bit, but why is it called Screamer as a series? What does that have to do with?
Because you're screaming. If you have OBS, like you're streaming, and if you're me, you're creaming. It's fun. You know what I'm saying?
He's got all these one-liners.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Leon, yeah, jealous. Jeez.
I would love to be on a quip off against Leon.
You would do well. You and your brother would do very well.
Oh yeah, we've trained for it our entire life.
And then the other question I had, and I'm not as big of an expert or player really of Crash Team Racing, but I know with Mario Kart, there's always been this level of luck component, right? You could be playing as well as you could ever. You could hit the tightest lines, but if someone has an item that you just can't do anything about, it impacts it. Does Screamer have a luck component to it, or is it really like if you're skilled and you're playing well, you're gonna dominate?
So strap in, everybody. It's going to take a minute. So going back to Mario Kart, right? There's this thing called rubber banding in kart games. If you get too far in the lead, then, they have items like the blue shell to bring you back. And actually, I learned over the weekend through a YouTube short is the blue shell was created so that the game wouldn't crash in Mario. Was it Mario Kart 64 where it was introduced? Yeah. That it was like a bug fix item, because if someone got too far ahead, there wasn't enough memory for the game to like figure that out. So they're like, hey, let's create this fucking item so that it stops this person from crashing the game, which is insane, right? I don't know if the validity of that, but if it's true, that's fucking awesome.
Split screen, right?
Yeah.
You got to run the game on four
different times.
Squares, yeah. Well, okay.
That's pretty awesome to actually learn about. So again, it is a mechanic that comes with a lot of arcade racing games. Is I think they even had an initial D, right? The boost setting is to keep everyone kind of close together because a race isn't fun if someone's already a mile ahead of you. And so
some sort of equalizer kind of situation.
Yeah, but for hardcore people that love racing, they're like, what the fuck that? Like, get that shit out of here. Again, for me, Mario Kart, I hate that shit. There actually is a way to cheese mechanics of that in high level competition. It's called bagging. Basically, you stay at the beginning, and of course, the further you are from first place, the better items you get. So people just be staying like all the way back, getting and then chaining together like bullet bills, stars, mushrooms, getting the shortcuts wherever, coming back in the last round and going through. That's built into the game. Of course, you probably won't see it if you're a casual player, but it's definitely there. In terms of, Crash Team Racing, it has hints of that in terms of rubber banding. I find the better racers, though, at a higher level, that shit does not come into play. Crash Team Racing, why I love it so much is, one, it's mechanically interesting, again. Two, when all is said and done, there is no amount of rubber banding that will save you. The interesting part about Screamer is rubber banding is kind of built into it, and I go over this in my developer deep dive. Is that when you get attacked and you get blown up, when you respawn in a rolling start, and you're only about 3 or 4 car lengths away. And think about it this way: the reason they kind of do that is the fun part about a racing game, again, is being able to engage with the other people, right? Burnout is a great example. Burnout 3 Takedown, one of my favorite arcade racers of all time. It's fun hitting people against other cars, seeing the slow-mo and all like the cool graphics and, sparks flying and everything. Same thing in Screamer is you can't engage in the, mechanics of the game. You can't block or counter or zoom past or attack if no one's near you. And so keeping everyone kind of in line, it doesn't really feel like, oh, I kind of hate rubber banding, because there's also that sim aspect of it. Again, it feels like a sim game, or it feels like an arcade racing game made by sim people. So if you are good at racing, you can definitely keep that lead. But there's also things in place to kind of keep those engagements going. And I think that is something that I think works for me in terms of Screamer better than it works for Mario Kart, if that makes sense.
That's helpful to know.
Yeah, I think I would 100% recommend this to people who love arcadey fun. Like it has that little bit
I would recommend it to people who like fun.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like I think those are the type of games that I gravitate towards to like the most. Like in terms of game design, like I love don't get me wrong, I love my single player sad dad games. You know, Last of Us, God of War, and all that shit. But at the end of the day,
the genre.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, I think the games that I really love are the ones that are developed with, hey, like old school mentality of like, hey, what's fun? You know, I look back at Doom 2016, and that was such a refreshing time for, you know, first person shooters where pretty much you have to be behind cover and, you know, flash bomb or smoke bomb to get across, you know, the field and shit. Doom 2016 says, hey, we'll give you 1-ups, fucking power-ups, and we want you to move forward. That's what we do. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like, I love that, and I keep thinking about that. And then Doom Eternal came out, again, screaming, streaming, and creaming all over the place for that game. So, yeah, 100%. Cannot wait to play more Screamer. And then, you know, just a quick overview. Started Resident Evil 7, just to touch on that. Fucking atmosphere is crazy. Again, another Capcom joint. Played it, I think it started about 4 or 5 years ago. Became a little bitch after like the first boss fight, and then kind of worked my way back into it. And now me and Marisha are playing it together, and we're about super close to the third boss fight and having a lot of fun with it. Tension is through the roof. Atmosphere is incredible. Visuals, sound design. It is a masterclass in, you know, building atmosphere and tension for scary games. Great pacing with the puzzles and enemies. Really excited to get further into this game with Marisha. And then, you know, my quick 30-minute fix games are I love the smoke, so Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. That kind of came back about with my brother and his friends kind of talking shit to each other, and then my brother was like, I kind of felt like if you remember that game or that movie with Jet Li and Super Mario, whatever the fuck his name is, Fury? Something like that, where he's like a dog. Jet Li's like the dude's dog, and he unleashes his collar. He's like, go kill him. Like, I feel like I'm Jet Li in that point, because my brother's like, yo, you guys keep talking shit to me, I could beat your ass, but here, you want a real fucking boss fight, here's my brother. And so, yeah, I'm just wiping the floor with these guys. And so, yeah, just been having fun. I love the smoke.
I'm gonna claim partial credit here too, because the amount of memes that I send Patrick where I'm just like when your kids finally get old enough to talk smack to you about Super Smash Brothers, and it's just like,
oh, you already know.
Like, oh,
yeah, 100%.
Here we go.
You said that to me from time to time, and I love it every single time.
I think I sent it to you multiple times at this point, and I'm gonna probably just keep sending it to you over and over again, because it's to me, it's you in a nutshell. It's like if there was one meme to describe each of us, like that would be Patrick's for sure.
100%. But yeah, that's everything that we've all been playing. And this is I think a great way to start the first episode of the Palibros Sidequest. It's a great way for you guys to figure, kind of see what we are outside of Monster Hunter, because it's just one game, one franchise. But again, I have lots of ideas for future episodes and stuff like that. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to someone in the chat. Yo Shady, fellow streamer, fellow kind of funny best friend. What's up, Yo Shady? Awesome streamer. If you want cool fun art, I think they're playing Starfield. Cool Starfield content right now. He's up on that. Plays a variety of other games as well. Go check out Yo Shady. He's awesome. But that's the end of the episode. Brian, Max, Ryan, thank you guys so much for coming out for today's show. Thank you guys for coming out to, witness the first ever episode of our sister podcast, the Palibros Sidequest. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to keep us with us, you can hit that subscribe button on YouTube, or you can follow us on Spotify and a variety of other podcast services. Please give us a good rating to help us out with the algorithm and discoverability. Again, thank you so much. for, sticking through with us for everything through, our main podcast, the Palibros, and coming through to this episode of the Palibros Sidequest. Let us know in the comments below what you guys are playing this year, what you guys are looking forward to, anything that you're enjoying at the moment. Leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and hope you see you guys on the next one.